Excuse me. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Lessons, Known Classics. This is episode number 2976 and Doubleshot number 2870. Yep, we got two books from basically books from the Silver Age. This first one is from what I can tell, the last one officially released. Because of course we have DC Finance now, so I guess this book is no longer necessary for books wise. We have The Flash, Silver Age, Volume 4, which collects The Flash, issues 148 to 153. Pretty much basically it's more continuation, more stories of Flash. They kind of like, I think as far as I think they have two villains make their debut here. And plus, of course, the big thing about these issues is that we have the formation of the Rogues. Yep, they finally get formed in these issues. Here's the weird thing about the Rogues. It's never been credited exactly what was the very first comic to actually have their debut, because it's been debated over the years a couple times. Excuse me. Like one issue, it was like issue like 150, or it was like 160, I think it was. Let's see. Now, is there any like debut issues? Yes, I think there is. So in 148, you have Flash and Captain Boomerang once again, and in the backup story, it's basically just Flash. Basically, it's like deal with the evil banker. We also have John Broome and Carmen Pantino doing the artwork here and the writing, respectively. In 149, presumably, Flash can reveal himself. Not really, just basically so really the kid Flash. Yeah, and it's a story that involves basically like it's kind of a kid Flash though, because they're in Blue Valley, but just stars Barry Allen. Now, Abracadabra features in 148. Now, is that his debut? No, his debut is actually 128. But I do believe we have one debut here. Oh, by the way, the backup story, Robberies by Magic, that was by Gardner Fox, not John Broome. So 150 is Return of Captain Cole. It is pretty much basically, it's like Captain Cole getting a girl, and then like the very next story is basically, it's like, Flash has got powers. And Gardner Fox taking over the writing duties of the opening story. It basically writing the book John Broome's done. In issue 151, you have Flash versus the Shade. Yep, and he has a gang he basically deals with there. We also have the first appearance of an area known as Shadowlands. What is Shadowlands, might I ask? I believe this is the area where Shade gets his powers, because he's commonly described as immortal. He's lived a long time, the Shade. Oh my gosh. And now my guess is probably the reason why you had Gardner Fox basically doing this issue is probably because he created Jay Garrick. I think he created the Shade as well. In 152, the opening story basically features basically parents with a trickster and Iris's niece. The backup story deals with basically Ira West. Who is Ira West? Well, in the pre-Flashpoint continuity, that is basically... definitely Gardner Fox. That was her father. The Shadowland mostly it's associated with Simon Cupp, with and also Obsidian. Alan Scott's son. It's like we had like double-sided issue. And of course, the next issue, we have John Broome come back to the backup story, which involves Ira West. In 153, we have the Flash team with Flash taking Mr. Element, aka Doc Huckabee, and the Reverse Flash. Now you're probably thinking, is this issue his debut? No, his debut was actually in 139. I thought this was his debut. My mistake. Just the only thing noteworthy about this issue is that we reveal his run to be Eobard Thawne. Yep, this is the issue we get some. And John Broome is back on the writing duties of this one. with issue number 154, it just Flash and Iris going basically on date. Yep. Backup story is basically on Dexter Mills, an actor who became the curator of the Flash Museum, which actually shows up in these issues. Yes, believe it or not, in issue 154, we have the debut of the Flash Museum. Yep, that makes its debut in issue 154. And a backup story. You're thinking, what? Really? The Flash Museum did? Yeah, and John Room created it. Which makes sense. And the purpose of Flash Museum is basically honor the Flash. And this was Barry Allen. And in case you're curious, did Wally West have his own Flash Museum? He did. In Keystone City. Yeah. In issue 155, kind of in a way, this is the debut of the Rogues. The group known as the Rogues. The original lineup is comprised of Captain Cold, Mirror Master, the original Mirror Master, the one who died in Christ. This is basically Sam Scudder. We have the top, Heatwave, Captain Boomerang, and Pied Piper. With, of course, they're working with Gorilla Grodd. He's not officially a member of the team, but he works with them. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about this issue is that we have. My guess is, I guess John Broome was like, hey, we have these all really cool villains. Let's have them work together. You're like, okay, cool. Yep. And then we move on to 158. You have Barry. You have basically one for treason. Excuse me. And John writes this one. And then we have 157. Where Flash takes on the Top. Both the opening story and the backup story takes on the Top. And this issue has the both stories from Gardner Fox. Now, in 158, mind you, it is basically a debut of the Breakaway Bandit. He is... Yeah, this was only like a... This was a It was by far, I think, like the first ever one-shot character who was featured in the entire story. And then get this. In the backup story, get this. We have a guest appearance here by Adam, Hal Jordan, Hawkman, Aquaman, and basically they take on Professor Ivo. And it's a Gardner Fox story. And of course, basically, Gardner Fox, because he created basically that character. In 159, basically, Barry Allen's supposed to be quitting. But then he comes back. We also have appearance by Charles McAnder. Who is that? He is the original Black Midnight. Who has been in comics since Zero Hour number 2. And the backup story is more stuff with basically Iris' parents. They all go on the rocket city. It's the thing with basically Ira West, he's basically kind of like a jokester in the Silver Age. He does wacky stuff. 160 is a reprint issue. Skipping that one. Going straight, yeah, believe it or not, I think 160 was the first ever reprint issue for Flash. Because, I was looking at the covers for Flash, it seems as though that Flash very rarely had a reprint issue. This old Green Lantern didn't have one, which I find that interesting. In issue 161, we have just a group of criminals. That Barry deals with the opening story, and then the backup story deals with the Mirror Master. And yeah, where it's like an alternate take of like 159. Yeah. In 162, we have like, oh, let's shove Barry like a house of horrors. And just take us do like a Verder bar. Yeah, and we deal with the Oriental Men. Who debuted in Flash 125. And they returned here for this issue. And here's the weird thing about these bird people. They'll pop up again into the Green Lantern Season 2, which came out in 2020. You're like, really? Yeah, Grant Morrison brought this thing back. Oh, and it's we have Gardner Fox back in the writing this one. In the case of Flash 163, which is the last issue of this one, it's basically Flash takes from Gunman, and then the backup story is basically take on Abracadabra. And that's it for what kind of happens. Oh, by the way, the stories. We have... Oh, by the way, Rob Cannon gives some stories here. We have The Day the Flash Went to Orbit, The Doorway to the Unknown, The Flash's Situational Risk, Robberies by Magic, Captain Cold's Perils, Touch and Steal Bandits, Invaders from the Dark Dimension, Trickster's Toy Thefts, Case of the Explosive Vegetables, The Magic Punch, the Mightiest Punch of All Time, The Day the Flash ran from himself, The Gutless Soup Villains, The Superhero Who Betrayed the World, Who Stole Flash Super Speed, The Day Flash Aged 100 Years, The Battle Against Beggar Bandit, The One Man Just League, The Flash's Final Fling, Big Blast in Rocket City, The Curious Case of the Costume, The Mirror with 20/20 Vision, Who Hunts the Corridor Chills, The Flash Stakes His Life on You, The Day Magic Exposed Flash is taken empty. Excellent stuff here. Love this book. Give it a 10 out of 10. And a little fun fact about the Silver Age comes to the Flash. Apparently, his last Silver Age issue that came out during Silver Age was Flash 199, which basically had about 35 issues to go for 36 issues for that one. All right, next, I'll move on to Green Lantern, The Silver Age, Volume 2, which contains Green Lantern issues 10 to 22. And, excuse me. Oh, by the way, also, in the case of the Shade issue, that was also collected in, I think it was like Crisis on Multiple Earths team-ups. Because I think that was also the second time that Barry teamed up with Jay Garrick. Now, this book does feature some first appearances. In issue number 10, just Hal deal with a bunch of robots, and by the way, his supporting character, his name is Pieface. That's what he was called in the Silver Age. And after a time, he was stopped called that. Because for some reason because in fact he's asking about, by the way, the opening story is by John Broome and the backup story. And of course, the artwork is by Gail Kane. I heard the term is a bit racist. So, yeah. So, in the case of issue 11, it's basically... We have a couple of Green Lanterns pop up in this issue. We have Manipul, the guy with the weird hairdo. We got killed issue of Starman, believe it or not. And Stal, a robot. Yes, this issue was basically his debut appearance. And the backup story basically deals with Pieface dealing with his wife. Yes. In issue number 12, basically, we have the single appearance of Francis Aberin, this magician from the future who deals with Hal Jordan in this issue. The backup story deals with Hal Jordan taking out some gangsters. In issue number 13, we have the first time that we have Barry Allen team up with... It's the kind of the first of like a couple times in these issues where you have basically Flash and Iris basically on the issue. Issue number 14. This actually is a debut issue, believe it or not. We have the first appearance of classic Green Lantern villain Sonar. Who is that one? Now, how he make his debut in here is interesting. Somehow Hal Jordan knew about him, so he talked to his old man. And apparently that Sonar was his apprentice, so he just takes his name Sonar, which I think is interesting. And his outfit is randomly picked out. It's a Sgt. Pepper Band's outfit. And he wears it in all of his appearances. This issue is noteworthy for the first appearance of his country. Midoriya. Yeah, and this particular country does return in issue 29. There's a few times this volume, and then it doesn't really appear a lot over the years. Yes. The backup story, also the debut of Sonic Gun. It's basically Sonora's gun that he uses. More gangsters, and I think one of the issues here, I think like Jim Jordan is suspected of being Green Lantern. Doesn't really go anywhere. Issue 15, basically we have Sinestro with the Weapons Accord. What do you think? Is this his debut? No, they debut issue 2. Yes, it's. I would say it's more acquaintance basically to another story featuring them. Yep. And more another Sinestro story. In issue 16, we have, believe it or not, we have Kara Ferris becoming Star Sapphire for the first time. A identity she still holds this very day. Where at first she was a villain, and later on she became a good guy. Depends on the writer. At some points, Hal would basically willingly punch his own woman. Yes, he would punch her. Never in the face. He's never hit Kara in the face. He would punch her in the gut per se. And at some points, Kara has been written to be obsessed with Hal. Yes. And this issue also is the first appearance of the Zamarindians. Who are they? They are the female species, basically, or the leaders of the Star Sapphire Corps. And the single appearance of Mondi, basically a warrior associated with the Zamarindians. Their home planet debuts issue, and the Star Sapphire Gym. Now, the backup story is a story featuring Abin Sur, presumably prior to first meeting Hal Jordan, like in the Western area. Issue 17, basically somebody suspects, oh, Hal Jordan is basically Green Lantern. Yeah, that's really the whole thing of this issue, so someone figures it out, but basically it's written off later in the issue. Yeah, and the issue 18, Return of Sinestro, obviously. And its first appearance in the backup story of Bill Braggett, who somehow took Hal's ring. And the guy didn't really appear very much. Because after this one issue, he's never seen again into issue 67, which was released, I kid you not, 18 was released in January 1963. 67 was released until 6 years later, and then he made one more appearance, Angry Lance 101, and that was last we saw of the guy. Yep. In issue number 19, though, has another fight with Sonar and some other horse thieves. But good book overall. Oh, wait, we're not done yet. That was 19. There's still 3 more issues. Sorry about that. Okay, so in issue number, basically another story where Barry Allen guest stars for a story, because why not? I always love basically the issue when these characters cross over. There's all a little mystery. Issue 21. We had the first appearance of Dr. Polaris. The original Dr. Polaris, mind you. Yes, they had another one appear a little bit later. Yeah. This is the first appearance of the guy, and he does have a successor. He is the first person using the name Dr. Polaris. The successor was a guy by the name of John Nathiel, who used an alpha that was used on Justice League Unlimited, who was a creation of Alan Barnett, who debuted in Justice League America Volume 17. The backup story debuts Christine Ferris. Who is Christine Ferris? Carol's mom. Yeah, she didn't do very much at all. And Carl Ferris returns to picture this issue. In issue number 22, we have a fight with Hector Hammond. Oh, in case you're curious, what issue did he make his debut in? In issue number 5. Yep. And the backup story, basically, it's like the whole thing with the whole Jordan stuff. But still good stuff here. And I love it. Yeah, and that's definitely here. But excellent stuff here with these issues. The stories. Prisoner of the Power Ring. The origin of Green Lantern's oath. The strange trial of Green Lantern. The trial of the missing ring. The Green Lantern statue goes to war. Zero in Silent City. Duel of the Superheroes. The Man Who Conquered Sound. My Brother, Green Lantern. Peril of Yellow World. Zero in Rocket City. The Secret of the Star Sapphire. Earth's first Green Lantern. The Spy Eye that doomed Earth. The World of Perilous Traps. Green Lantern vs. Power Ring. The Feat of Green Lantern. The Trial of the Horse and Buggy Bandits. The Parasite Peril. The Man Who Mastered Magnetism. Hal Jordan Betrays Green Lantern. And Master of the Ring. Great stuff here. And I do have 2 more books of this. But it doesn't go very far for these books. Not really, no, but I thought these books are amazing. I love such stuff is really awesome. Yep. But yeah, that's a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and enjoy this like button. Next up is Case Closed. Okay, next video. Bye. Whew.